Hey guys, welcome back to Crab Central Station.
My name is Faith and I do a lot of editing and filming for Crab Central Station, and then as you know,
Darcy.
And she also does editing, filming, but she's usually our camera person. And then behind the camera today we have Brooke, and she's gonna be filming. She also edits. It's a family job. But today we are going to be doing a Q&A video. So essentially a bunch of y'all sent us questions through our social media, which by the way, if you're not following our social media, you should definitely go do that. Linked it down below and we'll pop it up on the screen right here. And so basically people sent in a bunch of questions and we are going to be answering some of those for you guys today. So let's get started.
First question.
Yeah, so the first question comes to us from one of our Instagram followers, and they're asking, when did you learn that hermit crabs were taken from the wild? And then also they said, like in an asterisk, when did you first get hermit crabs?
All right, so we got into hermit crabs after going on a vacation to the beach. And of course, just took one of our vacation days to go around town, find a souvenir, and that's when Brooke discovered the hermit crabs in one of the shops. So the care that was given to us at the store seemed so simple. They were so inexpensive. We're like, yeah, this is a great pet. Yeah. So Brooke was the first one to get hermit crabs. She bought 3 that day. And we took them back to the little beach house.
And loved them. All of us were playing with them on the ground and like we absolutely loved them. And so we ended up going back. We were at the beach for a week and we pretty much went back every day and a new person got hermit crabs. Eventually pretty much everybody that was there with us was convinced, and we ended up leaving the beach with 10 hermit crabs. And then the other part of that question was, when did you learn that they're taken from the wild and not properly cared for? Of course, this is something that we're still learning about. Everybody's still learning about, but we probably didn't really learn about that until a little bit later, as most people do when they first get their hermit crabs. But we did all look at each other and say, there's no way that these animals belong on kitty litter, and that is what the beach shop originally gave us our crabs in, was literally a case with kitty litter. So we did a little bit of research and ended up going to PetSmart there at that beach and got them some Eco Earth and a tub to try to get better humidity than the like grated top that they give you in the little caddy, and give them a little more space. But of course, like I said, we had not even scratched the surface with the research. So of course that's an ongoing process.
In fact, I mean, even at the beach house that week we were there, we would read something, try it, and we would read something contradictory and be like, try that. Okay, so just like you guys have, I'm sure, been through the web and found just different groups and different information, and you're like, what's
going on?
Yeah. And so this question actually is really important because that's what spurred our YouTube channel. We decided as a family, look, we gotta get to the bottom of this. We need to find what is going on, what's right, what's wrong, and we need to educate people so that these hermit crabs are not treated as throwaway pets, and that people know exactly what they're supposed to do. So that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah. The next question actually relates to something that just happened today. Have any of your crabs had eggs before? So this morning, Brooke woke up and she found a bunch of crab eggs in her freshwater. Now this is not the first time that we have had crabs spawn eggs. This is the first time in one of her tanks. My mom has had 2.
Yeah, last summer, Rachel carried eggs twice actually, but she did not spawn in water. She dropped them on the sand, which happens sometimes. And I currently believe she is carrying eggs again, but I don't have 100% proof of that just yet.
So that's very exciting. And just in case any of you are wondering, no, we are not going to try to hatch these babies. Our next question is, how big is your largest crab? And then that same person also asked, how big is your smallest crab? So we actually have these 2 shells to show you.
All right, so our biggest crab is in about a 3-inch opening shell. And this species of crab is called a Brevimanus. And our smallest crab is in, if you can even see it.
The size of a fingernail.
Yes.
Not even.
And that is a purple pincher, which are the common ones in the United States. And that is our captive bred babies that we got from Mary Acres in New York last summer.
Yeah, so big difference. And Brooke has the Brevimanus, and then my mom has these crabby babies in her tank. So yeah. Another question from one of our Instagram followers. What do you do with your crabs when you go away for vacation? Do you hire a crab sitter? So
yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, we do. All right, so it kind of depends on how long you're gonna be gone. You know, if it's just for a weekend trip or something like that, you could change out their water before you leave and make sure that you've got some things like worm castings, green sand, leaves, bark, kind of those tank staples, and then some dried food that doesn't mold easily, and so you could leave that for the weekend. If you're gonna go on a trip longer than that, then you need to get somebody that will come in and check on your crabs. Mostly because the food will mold, and I mean, that's not good for them. And also, if you don't have filtered pools, then the water will need to be changed out. And if you do have filtered pools, you want somebody to come in and check on them in case there's a problem. If there was a leak and your tank is flooding or some kind of emergency.
So this next one is not necessarily crab related. What other pets do you have? So we kind of are running a zoo here in our household. So we do have the crabs, and just so you know, our crab, like the amount of crabs we have are always fluctuating because we are actually hermit crab rehabilitators. So we will get crabs, rescue crabs, and then we will adopt them out to different people. So that essentially that number is always changing. Right now we have around 50, like on the lower side of 50, higher side of 40. But keep in mind, we do have a ton of different tanks. My mom has a tank up at school, so they're not all, you know, in one area. We also have 3 hamsters. Brooke has 2, and those are dwarf hamsters, and then I have a Syrian hamster. And then we have 2 dogs, Oscar and Charlie, and we'll insert some little clips of these animals. I have a rabbit. We have, oh, Brooke has a leopard gecko, and then she also has a fish. Do you have a snail right now? Doesn't have a snail right now. Used to have a snail. Is that every, oh, and we have a cat. How could I forget about Calypso? We have a cat, so we have a whole zoo, but we love it. What is your craziest crab story? Oh.
Story?
For me, I have to say driving all the way from Texas to New York just to pick up crabs is pretty crazy. That's probably my craziest crab story.
I call that smart.
I don't know, do you have a different one?
I don't think so.
This person also asked, have any crabs escaped? Not for us. We have been fortunate enough to have pretty good crabs. Now they'll climb all over the tubes, climb all over the tank. They will sit right up on the glass lid, but we've never had one escape, so that's good.
We make sure our tanks are pretty well sealed so that doesn't happen. I did think of a crazy crab story.
Go for it.
Okay, so I have a tank at school. I teach 6th grade, and I have a student actually that when he comes into class goes right over to the tank to say hi to the crabs. And there is one particular crab at school that, I'm not kidding you, like knows the time of day or something. She comes right up to the glass of the tank and she'll put up a little claw like she's saying hi to this student. I'm not kidding you. I have pictures of it day after day after day.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Brooke behind the camera also just reminded us another crazy crab story is that we had a tank that actually had ants in it. It had a whole ant infestation. It was not good. That was your school tank, right? And so we had to completely gut that tank and redo it quickly because ants are not good. How do you estimate the age of a hermit crab?
All right, so that's actually something that this experiment group with the Mary Acres with these captive bred hermit crabs, we're trying to gather information on, because otherwise you really don't know. They're all taken from the wild. Some interesting information has come out of this study just in this past year that we've had these babies. And again, this is not scientific at this point because we're still gathering information. We only have this one set of captive bred babies to grab information from, so just know that. But what we are learning is that they do not grow at the same rate. Okay, so Mary Acres has hundreds in her tank, and they're all different sizes. Almost half smaller and half medium, and then a few that are even a little bit larger or extra large, okay? Even in our own tank, we have 8 babies, and of our 8, we have 3 that are significantly larger, even though they're still tiny. But I mean, yes, good. So we have 1. All right, so we have 3 in about this size shell, which is a little over a centimeter opening. And then we have about 4 of them that are in these under a centimeter opening. Okay, and so they're in the exact same tank conditions, came from the exact same breeder, fed the same thing, I mean, all of that, the conditions are exactly the same, yet they're growing at a different rate. So right now, we don't really have a way to estimate how old your hermit crab might be.
Are you kidding me, dog?
Sorry, we don't know, but we're researching.
Yes. What is your biggest pet peeve in crab tanks? And why does my Chala,
Koya?
who knows?
Choya?
Choya. Why does it stink so bad? So 2-part question. Let's start with the first one. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Definitely water pool changes.
Yeah.
They're just time consuming. That's all. I mean, they're not that difficult really, they're just time consuming. So filters help tremendously with that. Best decision I could have made in crab care for sure.
And then why does their choya, however you choose
Hollywood.
to say it, how does the wood with the holes in it, so why does it stink?
That is a good question. I don't think it should.
And ours doesn't?
Yeah, I've never had smelly wood. So my suggestion would be to take it out and soak it in some crab safe salt water for several hours, let it get really good and soaked in. And then I would bake it on the lowest temperature your oven has until it's completely dried out and see if that helps.
So biggest crab tank and smallest crab tank that we have, that was a question. So our biggest crab tank is a 120 gallon with a 40 gallon topper on it, and we will put a video here. Wow, so beautiful. And then our smallest tank is gonna be our crab crib, and that is a 29 tall, with a 20 topper on it. And that topper was that custom 3D background that we did. We will link that video down below if you're interested in that. The crabs love to climb all around it. Why do my hermit crabs stay buried even if they aren't molting? That's a great question. And while she answers that, I'm going to be looking for some more questions.
Okay, so there could be many reasons. First of all, crabs like to dig. That's just something that they do. And so it could just be that they're having fun. Also, it could be care related. If the humidity is not right or it's not warm enough, they could be digging for that reason. It could be that they are de-stressing. If it's a new crab, then check out the PPDS method, which is the post-purchase stress disorder. So you can look that, we'll link that for you as well. If you've had this crab for a while and they're still digging often, it could be that there's another crab bothering them in your tank. And if that's going on, it could be due to diet. So I would definitely increase the protein that you're offering in your tank. And finally, it could be that they need some more water. So if your pools are not deep enough that they can fill their shell water, they might be going under the sand to try and get moisture from under the sand.
So the last question for you guys is, how do I know that my hermit crab care is the right care?
That's a great question, and that's something that we asked quite a bit in the beginning when we kept finding false information, or differing information, I guess I should say. And so that led us to a Facebook group called Lycos. You guys have heard us talk about them. All of our care comes from that group, and the reason we follow their care guide is because they are a researching group. Over 20 years of research, in fact. The admins of this group still collect research, do research, they change care guides according to the research that they're finding. Mary Akers with the breeding program in and of itself shows you that this group is about research. So, you know, that to me was really important. Also, I think it's good when you find a group that's willing to say, hey, we thought this is best,
yeah,
but
for
after research, we think something else could be better. So I think that's important as well. And you know, if you look at the amount of members in our group that are seeing hermit crabs carrying eggs and actually spawning, then that is proof that their conditions and their environment is close to what they would have at home, their own environment out at the beach.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you so much to those of you who submitted questions through our social medias.
If you haven't already subscribed to our social medias, make sure that you do that right now. Share, like, comment,
subscribe. We'll link everything below. And yeah.
I think that's it for now.
Of course, all right.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.